Blame on! How's everybody doing tonight? I'm here with my very special guest,
Hello.
Jared from Comics League. How you doing, buddy?
How are you?
And making his new Direction Verse debut, we have Hippolyta Plays. How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
All right, now I know to those disappointed, I did make a pact that I wouldn't play the Wonderbat clip anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But let's try to have some fun today. For those unfamiliar, okay, for the past few months, and I'm surprised DC actually did this twice, we kind of did like our own little thing called the New Direction Verse, where we take some concepts and Rebirth, kind of merging New 52 and expanding it. And there are multiple videos out there. I'll have this attached to a whole playlist where you can catch up if you're interested. But Hippolyta can kind of stretch from like a random thought, because Jared and I was looking at an article and I was talking to Jared and I'm like, you know, there was supposed to be a Donna Troy in New 52, and I'm like, let's try that, see what happens. Because Jared, I remember the
wouldn't be the first time that DC has stolen our New Direction ideas. I'm looking at you, Tom King.
Can't
but
believe you pulled him out.
but with that being said, to make it a long story short, if you've actually been long story short, basically Hippolyta Kent is basically our version of the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman, basically.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen her on a few video topics here and there where we briefly talk about her character growth,
She's made cameos.
Even got a Green Lantern ring because, well, the Guardians don't trust a Kryptonian Amazon hybrid running around. And before we go any further, am I the only one surprised we've gone this far? We've already just about completed the full first volume of New Direction Verse, minus a few topics I decided to pre-record. And we never did Wonder Woman.
We will, because when Jheat brought this up to me, I was wondering, I was like, yeah, that's true, because she's like half of the premise of the New Direction Verse involves Wonder Woman.
Like, seriously.
How have we never done this?
I mean, we rebranded Superman and Wonder Woman instead of God Killer 1, but other than that. But back to the main topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're going to look at this completely as objective as possible. So, Taladia, I'll let you go first with your feelings about Jon Kent as a character. Then, Jared, you get your feelings for Hippolyta.
I don't think you want to know my feelings for Jon Kent.
Hey, we're letting it all out here. We're letting it all out. This is objective debate.
Well, at first I thought Jon Kent was interesting, but became boring very quickly. Very, very quickly became boring, right?
Mhm.
And I think I was like, they need to sacrifice the lamb, as they call it.
Sacrifice the lamb. That's a great way to put it.
Sacrifice the lamb and kill him off panel. That's the best way to put it. Call him redundant, even after the introduction. Be like, nope, we're not doing this. We're killing him off. That's the way I feel about Jon Kent. Sorry, Tevye, but that's my honest opinion. Jon Kent should not exist.
Okay, we said it 3 times, so Tevye should be here in a minute.
Any minute now. But as for me, my feelings on Jon Kent, he has potential.
Oh, there you go. He showed up. I literally just said it. I literally just said it. Oh, Tevye, that was great. I literally said, we said Jon Kent's name 3 times, and then Tevye will show up in about a minute, and in about a minute you show up. That was incredible.
Like I said, Jon Kent is redundant in my eyes, and it always will be. And that's why he should be sacrificial to the lamb, as they say.
That was literally the greatest Comics League moment in a long time. We have our first Comics League moment of
2024. But as for me, my opinion on Jon Kent, like, he has potential, but if you have multiple comic book series and an entire TV show where he's essentially redundant, you could swap him out with literally anyone else, a glorified OC, and nothing changes. That's where you know this character isn't objectively commercially going anywhere.
So yeah, we know, Tevye. But so in terms of, for me, Jon Kent represents a good idea in Rebirth that was done to screw over the fans. But the problem with him is that when Well, for one thing, they aged him up because guess what? He wasn't selling as a kid. It's fine
And
if
he's
you like the
redundant.
product. Yeah, he didn't. His first issue had fantastic sales, 99,000. That's solid. Then it just went down, and if it just went back up again, that would be one thing because yeah, series do that all the time. Where like they have like very like
Ups and downs, ups and downs.
no, it was like okay, up and then it wasn't all Bendis, Tavio, the entire series tanked. So that's why they wanted to age him up. The problem when they aged him up and made him Superman, even though he's not, was it wasn't like they like swapped him in with like an OC Jheat. Literally, you could take Jon Kent out, replace him with Clark, barely anything changes.
To me, for more anime examples, kind of like Goku and Goten from Dragon Ball Z, where the latter is a copy paste or carbon copy of the former, with very few creative differences. But even in that context, Goku was dead in Otherworld for 7 years, and Goten is his own person. But the moment Goku comes back into the picture, Goten is objectively redundant, unless he has a huge personality change. So we've seen this before. It's just there's nothing you really could do with John that makes him stand out. Now, granted, they did try, but they rushed it for the sake of a publicity stunt, and that ruined any good grace this character could have had commercially. I'm sorry. I have nothing against it. Love is love. Do what you want to do. But if we're really being honest here, the moment they aged up John for Son of Kal-El, the character was dead in the water commercially. I'll say it.
Yeah, agreed. This is why, Tavia, we're going to tell you right now, Jon Kent is redundant. Even as
here's the thing. Tavia proves this right there. You had Connor Kent Superboy. You literally didn't need Jon Kent at all.
Yeah. Technically, New 52 Connor was killed off, and pre-Flashpoint
Connor was back. Bendis brought him back
for the good Young Justice, not Fitzmartin. God damn it.
Or even Tim Sheridan's Titans Academy.
That was Match, and that is canon. That is my personal headcanon, and until I see otherwise.
No, Tavia, that's never going to happen.
Tavia, they already did retcon all of Bendis' stuff that they could. It's if you read Action 1050, they undid the identity change. It's short of Jon Kent. That was the other major change, which, by the way, that proved to me that Bendis had become a lazy writer, because I know that he knows how to write secret identities. Ultimate Spider-Man is my example. But he was like, it's really outdated. Says who? But then it gets into the, again, Tevia, he wasn't selling. I get that you like the character, and that's totally fine. That's your prerogative. But if it's not selling, because DC does not want, because DC wants more people other than you to pay for the book, it didn't have sustainable sales to justify it.
Plus, as well, we're going to say this, right? Jon Kent, like, the reason why he doesn't sell is because he's a ripoff of Connor Kent.
He's like essentially if you amalgamated, that's a comic pun for you. If you took if you took Connor and merged him with Clark, that's what Jon Kent is.
Yeah.
I'm about Tim Jake Roll. Well, here's the thing, Tavia. Even if they DH Jon Kent to be 10, it's not going to be the Super Sons, because Damian has aged up. It's not going to be that same dynamic. So, and before you say anything, they're not going to DH Damian because there's literally no reason to DH Damian.
They can't DH him. You can't go back in time.
Which I will say. So going to and then Tabby says that technically he's not a ripoff. Technically he is, because the whole purpose of Superboy is to be there for when Clark can't become Superman. That's the purpose of Superboy, and that's the purpose of Jon Kent. He is a ripoff. The only thing that makes him different is his origin. Besides that, he is a ripoff of Connor Kent. It's just because the DC writer wanted to have their own character for, in the case they make him a movie, he gets residual checks. But anyway, so
but Jheat is back. Yeah. Jheat, do you want to show that image?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
So
might as well get out the way. Might as
yeah, we
well.
might as well do that. So. The reason,
Might as
we
well.
might as well do that. So the reason, getting to Hippolyta Kent, I will say she's partially inspired by Jon Kent because I looked at what DC did with Jon Kent, and Jheat and I agreed what not to do. And by this is a thing.
This is the thing, Tevia.
But
This is a
but
national
Tevia,
thing.
here's the thing: you want it back so you can get Super Sons. If they de-age John and leave Damian in his current age, it's not going to be the Super Sons you want. Plus, it's not going to be that version of Super Sons unless Tomasi comes back in the book. And he's not going to do that because he's exclusive for Ghost Machine now.
Though
So
I will give you this, he is trying to create super sinister sons, basically the sons of Sinestro and.
But no
General
one's ever
Zod.
going to use that.
nobody's
No
gonna
one's
use
going to.
that.
It's like it'll be one thing if he took two villains that hang out regularly, but Zod and Sinestro don't hang out. I'm like, what?
But you see that image there, Tevia, with
Yeah.
Darkseid holding
Yeah.
John Kent.
It's not Darkseid. It's not
That's
Darkseid.
Steppenwolf. That's
Sorry,
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. That's what's gonna happen.
That's going to
Sooner
happen.
or-
That's what's going to happen sooner or later to the character in DC. That I guarantee you. But anyway, so what Jheat and I did when we were coming up with the idea for Hippolyta Kent is we specifically said, let's not repeat DC's mistakes. Let's actually make a character that has longevity and that people care about. And I think we succeeded because Tom King copied our idea.
Trinity.
Yes.
Like literally, it wasn't even a week when we even made a video about it. I'll probably put it in the description, if not tag at the end of the
The
stream.
week before they announced Trinity. I'm just like, was he watching our stream and decided, oh, we're daughter of Wonder Woman? The only difference between Trinity and our character is, for one thing, our character's likable, and second off, her father's Superman.
Now,
And the good version of Superman.
I will give credence this. Tom King was gracious enough to rip off an old DCAU episode and canonize Fury. Oh, so I'm sorry, but if you go back to Justice League and watch that two-parter, that's literally Tom King's Sovereign arc, beat for beat.
Which was hilarious. He also, Tom King also ripped off a Superman and Wonder Woman story for the storyline he did in his Batman run, where he and Wonder Woman are stuck for like 12 years in like another dimension fighting. That's what that is. Oh, Pika. I think John was bumped up to 11, 12-year-olds when Jor-El came for him and having somewhat outgrown from his original Superboy suit. Yeah,
fair point, Pika.
But again, my problem is, even if you de-age him, it's not going to be the Super Son, because Damian, first off, doesn't. I don't think you even think, because the problem with it is that Damian is older now, so you can't do that. It's not going to be that same attitude.
Nope.
Even in Rebirth, Damian was 13 years old, so he's only aged about a year, maybe two. But you could. I'm just saying, creatively speaking, you could make it work, but brand-wise, the damage is already done.
Yeah, and the problem is, if you de-age him, you then take away the version of the character that has fans now, and that's the one problem with the DC, and that's my problem with DC Rebirth. They took away what fans like, and more fans like him as he is now. To Tevi, I got news for you. More fans like him as an adult, relatively.
Okay, Jay Nakamura, that's a separate conversation in its entirety. But for the most part,
the point is, so Jay, you want to explain to the people the purpose of the stream?
The purpose of the stream is not only just to bash Jon Kent. Let's go ahead and get that disclaimer out the way right now.
That's just an added bonus.
The point of this conversation actually have a conversation and debate about this, because let's break down the stats. Jon, half Kryptonian, half Earthling, has relatively the same powers as any other Kryptonian, except a bit more of a temper, to the point to where he nearly set off a supernova in Super Sons Boys of Tomorrow. I believe that's what the storyline is called. I could be wrong on that. But Hippolyta, she's actually the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman, does have demigod powers due to being the descendant of Zeus, was briefly a member of the Green Lantern Corps because the Guardians were suspicious of her, and held her own, at least to a degree, against Loki and Jormungandr and God Killer 2 in a tie-in.
But I tell him, yeah, we know. It's just It's the joke we have that somehow timing a line that we first came up with Hippolyta and then they announced Trinity. So that it's all part of the joke. It's all part of the joke.
Yeah. Corporate wise, at least 6 months. But come on, it's all part of the
Now,
fun. It's all good fun.
Let's think about Hippolyta's stats. Half Kryptonian, half Amazon. Not just half Amazon goddess, because Diana is stronger than your typical Amazon. Fights gods and has a Green Lantern ring.
And has more story around her because, again, this will be covered either in a God Killer 1 tie-in or a New Direction verse Wonder Woman video. But Wonder Woman literally made a pact with Hera and Hades to get Scion, New 52 Superman, out of Tartarus. She instigated all of this.
Yeah. Okay, so a little context. So, Taladia, what's my one issue with New 52 Superman? You should know this.
It's not the costume. I know that.
No, it's not that. About his story.
Oh, this will go back weeks. I have to remember.
I say it every stream. Okay, I'll tell you that they killed him. So,
oh yeah.
So what Jheat and I decided to do, let's do a what if thing. It really didn't start off as like starting a whole universe. That was just a happy accident to quote Bob Ross. But so what happened was we came up with what if he didn't die? Let's war game this and see what the DCU would look like if he didn't die. And then so we figured, how is he going to not die? And then I looked at Superman and Wonder Woman. This is the one time I will thank Tomasi. In his book, Wonder Woman basically went to the gods to heal Clark. So what we thought of, what if she makes a pact with the gods? And this leads to God Killer, because when you make a pact with the gods, they expect you to pay up. So what we did was, that was the inspiration behind that. She goes to Hera, she goes to Zeus and makes a pact with the gods, but then Hera comes in to collect. Yeah, which that deal didn't work. Actually, it did because it healed Clark of like other stuff. It's just stuff that happened afterwards. The stuff that happened afterwards is why he died. So it wasn't the deal didn't work. It was that stuff happened afterwards that guaranteed his death. But that would require DC to actually have creative writers. Thank you. I use that a lot on the Phoenix Press. But so that was the basis of the New Direction verse. And then obviously Britt had brought up to me that there was this concept of Donna Troy being the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman, but we didn't want to get rid of the Donna Troy character because she is kind of cool and she'll play a part in New Direction Wonder Woman. So what we decided, let's just create an original new character named after Hippolyta, because at this point Hippolyta's gone. So we figured as a tribute to Diana's mother, let's name her after Hippolyta. So that was that.
Hippolyta stems from an overarching saga, which could arguably count as a prelude to God Killer 1 in of itself. And for those who are curious in the comments, if you're really worried about the inconsistencies from the Abernett run for New 52 Wonder Woman, the first son is basically our version of Demos. That's really all you have, or at least that's how we would use it.
Mm-hmm.
They misinterpret the prophecy. They grab Demos instead of God Killer, and basically everything leading up to God of War 3, or at least our licensed version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much it. Wait, so you're not going with Darkseid versus Zeus?
We may, but
that has potential.
I tend to avoid a lot of Rebirth Wonder Woman storylines because a lot of those are just screwed New 52. So we'll see. That concept does have potential. I agree with Jheat on that.
Even what we did with God Killer 2 recently, because again, I haven't covered all the tie-in issues, and the majority of them I'm going to have pre-recorded anyway. But even if you factor all that, Hippolyta has more of an arc to her. She really comes into her own. And I'm not trying to create a super trinity or, goddamn, I walked into my own pun. But even still, let me make this perfectly clear. She despises Damian Wayne. Let me make that perfectly clear to those in the back. Let me make that clear to those in the back, including the shippers. She despises Damian
Wayne. You try and ship her with Damian Wayne, we're saying it ain't gonna happen.
No. No, 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 no. And Damien wouldn't even try anything because that's basically my best friend's sister. One, I could barely stand her on a good day. Two, I don't feel that way towards her. And three, Diana and Clark would try to kill me if I did do something.
And then they would kill Bruce because Bruce raised me to be this way.
Actually, they would go after Grayson first, but that's a separate.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So Taladia. So what do you think of Hippolyta as a character? We've gotten your opinions on Jon. So what do you think of our character that we made up?
Hippolyta Kent.
Yeah.
I love her.
Appreciate it, Taladia.
I love her. There's a reason, because she's the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman.
Which I'm surprised that this was never really played in. It's, hey Ruth, how you doing?
Hey Ruth.
How you doing? Yeah, the thing about it is basically what the new direction verse is us looking at what DC has done in the past and fixing their mistakes, no matter how many they are, because Lord knows there are a lot. So we're just like, hey, what's up, kid? So our real idea was, let's take what DC has done bad and make it and see if we can salvage it. Hence, which is why we try to salvage Rebirth. The idea was, okay, so the problem with Rebirth, Superman particularly, is that they killed off one and held up the other. But we said, what if we had two Supermen, and then one essentially was a mentor to the other, and then both got to like go through a character arc, and then post-crisis Clark sacrifices his life.
Which basically leads up to God Killer 2. Now, I'll probably do a separate, because you have Superman and Wonder Woman, which gets rebranded to Scion and Wonder Woman, a Scion miniseries, and finally Superman, which is the culminant post God Killer 2. Mm-hmm. Because Clark, since I'm strictly calling him Superman now, Superman was not the same after the events of God Killer 2, because both him and Billy Batson, Shazam, ultimately played a role in Thor just wrecking everybody. Granted, this is mythologically accurate Thor, and we're keeping up the God of War license idea. So,
oh boy, what we did with mythologically accurate Thor versus the Justice League, oh boy.
DC editorial would not let us do this.
No, they would. This would be a black label book for sure. Like, oh my God. Taladia, a Hawk Girl's wings get torn off. Aquaman is boiled alive. We basically just let's you're talking about Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. We murdered them. Also, knowing my boy John, he would want revenge on Thor. We already resolved that. Did we already resolve that, Jheat?
That's good. Yes, we did do God Killer Aftermath. I'll probably link that video as well, where John does try to do something, but Hippolyta and Damien stop him. The one time, and let me repeat to those in the back, the one time Damien and Hippolyta put their mutual hatred aside is to help John, because the last thing we need is two Kryptonians lashing out doing something stupid.
Yeah, and particularly one that's half Amazonian. That's just a recipe for a bad day. That's just a bad day.
And most of Metropolis got a bad day after Wonder Woman was deemed the Red Lantern ring.
Yes, we gave Wonder Woman a Red Lantern ring, Taladia.
Wait, what?
That's fair, Pika.
That's fair, Pika. Glad you stopped by. Yeah, so our idea was that new 52 Superman was badly injured, so Wonder Woman got so pissed that she became a Red Lantern temporarily and wrecked the place. That's kind of where we left it, I think, right?
Yeah, because the rest is wrapped up in tie-ins, because then you got post-crisis or pre-Flashpoint Wonder Woman. I mean, got it. Lois Lane. Excuse me. God, Freudian slip. Lois Lane. She basically eradicated there's no matrix. There's no power matrix in the Fortress of Solitude in the New 52. But we kind of taken creative liberties here where we have the matrix cycle. So the Eradicator AI is like, okay, I'll infuse my data with you and give you an armor to help combat Thor. And but there's a chance you'll lose but this is Kryptonian technology. You might lose your sanity in the attempt.
Yeah, and by the way, Tevia, we're telling you that the revenge plot is gone. No one wants revenge anymore. That's been done.
That was resolved in a tie-in. But I just hadn't gotten to it yet because finals. But yeah, so Lois dons the Eradicator armor. She lashes out. She gets a few licks in against Thor. And I'm just like, Thor's just with one arm just bashing everybody. God. And then God Killer kind of like just swoops. Spoilers, by the way. God Killer kind of just like swoops in, like steals the final blow, and like this is done, and just walks away. Like he's done with all of it. Balder, the gods, like he's fed up at this point.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's essentially he goes, okay, that's enough. I'm done with this. Lois, no, she's not using the Hellbat armor, Tevia. She's not using the Hellbat armor because that was stupid as hell. She's not using the Hellbat armor.
If anything, I would give that to Batman because that would make sense. He'd wear it.
Yeah, again, we said the Eradicator armor. We were very clear on that. We adapted the that idea from Tales of the Dark Multiverse, only she doesn't turn evil. Yeah.
Anyway,
but anyway, so essentially the idea of it. So Hippolyta actually ends up becoming a Green Lantern, and her like supervising officer, I guess you'd call it, is Jessica Cruz. Yes, I brought in my my second favorite Green Lantern next to Hal Jordan. I had to, and what Hippolyta Kent's arc is. She has to deal with being the daughter of the two most famous superheroes and the like public pressure that puts on someone.
yeah.
As opposed to Superboy being the son of Superman and nothing happens, which pre-52 Lois Lane wouldn't turn evil if she.
She's grieving. She's grieving, and the complications from basically.
And by the way, Tevia, how do you know she wouldn't turn evil?
Basically, we're pretty much using the concept of Brainiac Luthor from I believe it was the JLU, to where it's this part of the they're pretty much fused. They're fused together, and Lois is just lashing out in a moment of temporary insanity, which parallels Wonder Woman wielding a Red Lantern ring. See, it'll make more sense.
Everything comes hashtag full circle.
Full circle.
I had to. Thank you, Zack Snyder.
It'll make more sense once I actually do that tie-in video because I just got caught up with finals and I just didn't get a chance to do it. But it is coming. It is coming.
It is coming.
But where was I? So now these two realistically would never really fight. But if we were to take Hippolyta Kent from the New Direction verse and say Jon Kent is dimension hopping and stumbles on our universe for some reason. First of all, why are there two Johns here? And why is the older one Electro Blue? I had to.
Yeah,
I had to. But I just, in a hypothetical fight, I'm not saying, and I promise you I'm not saying this out of bias, Hippolyta would ultimately win out due to being the more experienced fighter.
Because she's trained by Wonder Woman.
And the Amazons.
Yeah. But yeah, again, so that would happen. And the thing is, I just want to be clear: we're not ignoring Jon Kent. All this is we're showing both can exist. Because again, the problem with Rebirth is that it ignored one fan base and basically told them to go screw themselves. Well, we were like, okay, you know what? Both fan bases have a place in DC. This is how you run a business.
Yes.
And by the way, hire us, DC. Will work for you.
Go ahead, Taladia. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree with Jared here. Like it was everything he's saying. Like our New Direction verse, it's much better than what DC's doing currently right now. Right?
Seems to. The problem is they're also. It would be if they brought back the New 52 and made that the Ultimate Universe. Then it'd be at least a little closer to what we're doing.
You know, if they did that, you know what we're gonna be doing?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing Snyder fans read comics a lot more than that case.
Yeah.
Podcast would destroy it. No, she would destroy any Jon Kent of any age because John's DNA is diluted because he's half human. If anything, Hippolyta Kent is like half Amazonian.
I got a bet one. Hippolyta Kent would destroy any Jon Kent from any different era from the DC multiverse. Like how Jheat, like you know how Black Zamasu in Dragon Ball Superhero.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
He went to face off against Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God Goku, and all of that. Hippolyta would be like that in that scenario where she just takes him out.
It's a curb stomp.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a curb stomp because again, John's not as strong as Clark, and that was my other issue. What about Deceit? Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Any version of Jon Kent. Because here's the problem, and Tevye kind of touched upon it. Tom Taylor was basically talking about how Jon Kent is stronger than Clark, and I'm like, since when? Because his DNA is diluted by human DNA. That ain't stronger.
Now, he does have more potential and destructive capability, but I wouldn't say he's stronger than Clark.
The reason why Kara is demonstrably stronger than Clark's because she's younger and thus her cells can metabolize the Earth's yellow sun better. But
I thought Debbie said something.
Oh, okay.
But
ultimately, that's the thing because again, yes, Hippolyta is not wholly Kryptonian, but the other half DNA I think makes up for that. Plus, he would fight Injustice Superman. He didn't fight. Yeah, exactly. That was the biggest waste of a story. Because here's the problem with that series, guys. So they were like, okay, John's gonna finally fight Ultraman, and you're like, okay, that's cool. You kind of have a chance to redeem it. Then Ultraman gets his neck snapped inside of 10 seconds by Injustice Superman. Then you could have salvaged this and have John fight an evil version of his father again, but this time it's like Injustice Superman. Then you just do the hug thing, and I'm like, what?
I get what Tom Taylor was going for. He didn't want to break his canon too much, and pretty much created like this character was strictly made for a fighting game, and you're subverting expectations. But this was not the time or place for that. If you just want, at least let him throw a punch, like actually let them throw fisticuffs a little bit, then have John come to the realization, like, okay, this is what happened if Clark overstepped. This is what happened if Clark loses. If a Superman lost his way, I need to be a better example, much like how my father was a better example for me in our world. So there's a way to go about it, but I just don't. I just would have done it differently, in my opinion, if I'm being completely honest.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's really what that's the problem with Jon Kent, and that's the legacy of Jon Kent, pun intended, because he's the character that had the most potential, but was a wasted opportunity. Because you could have done some great stuff with Jon Kent, even as a kid, but they never did anything noteworthy with it. Because if it was noteworthy, they wouldn't have aged him up.
I would argue they rushed it. I would argue they rushed it.
No. Do you know what would have been cooler? What if Jon Kent was the illegitimate, wasn't the son of Superman, but the son of Batman in a country?
Son of Batman? Oh God! Now you're going back to the original Snyderverse plan on that one.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce. Ruth, what's up? And then John gets yeah, they're not gonna bring him back as a 10-year-old kid.
It's a pipe dream, Tevye. It's a pipe dream.
No, but what I'm saying is, right, it's a twist, right? Essentially, that would have been more interesting for DC than what they're doing right now.
I can imagine people. I'm like, oh my gosh, they cucked Superman. Just like everyone complained about the Snyderverse, even though that was never really the plan.
That was an original storyboard idea, which even Snyder himself confirmed was in poor taste.
Yeah, exactly.
So, moving on swiftly. Yeah, I just think Jon Kent is redundant. That's that. And there's no better way to put it, right?
Mm-hmm. Really, ultimately, what, and Jheat, you can ask me, you can give me your thoughts on this too. What do you think where do you think DC goes with him from now? Because I could see them just saying, okay, just shelve the character, particularly if they build toward a reboot and they go, let's not have Jon Kent. Let's just cut the character out.
Well, you still have a prominent impact with John with other IPs in terms of Damian, in terms of the Superman family as a whole. Mm-hmm. The John just doesn't work as Superman because you already have the Super Twins now. I believe as of now, PJK's run has ended, and now they're called Red Sun and Starchild. Mm-hmm. But correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
But ultimately, John, I feel like Jon should just take a step back and just not really revolve his life around superheroing. Actually, explore the world, mature a little bit, or at the very least, don't use Jon. Just don't try to make it an anthology book. Have Jon like make cameos here and there, like okay, this character exists. He helps out from time to time, but in terms of giving Jon a main title, I would shelve him for at least a year.
Yeah, for until you like repair like the damage that has been done to the character, because you really ultimately too much damage has been done to the character for him to hold up his own book, which it's never sold, by the way.
Now, I'll give you this. You had a bit of a sales boost with Son of Kal-El in issue 5, but after that,
yeah, after that it went down hard, because you're supposed to like, because the people are like, okay, so you did this with this character. Is this going to be a cool idea? No. Just jumped on to wish you a happy new year, Jared. I love your Batman short in the two. Thank you. Yes, I put Lego Batman music on there to explain why the premise of the short, and thank Nick for this because he inspired it. But the idea was, so you know how Batman keeps putting the Joker in Arkham Asylum expecting it to get better?
Yeah.
I said that Batman is half responsible for the carnage of the Joker because he keeps putting him in there knowing it's going to turn out bad. Here's a algorithm pass. But Tavia, they can't do that because then that would imply one version of the character is not the real version of the character, which according to DC, it is. That's why. That's what I tell people all the time when they say, that's not this character. That's not this character. I always say, as long as it has the DC logo and it's published by DC, that is the character.
Just because they retcon and change things after the fact doesn't change it.
You don't have to like it, but that is the character. If the IP holders make a decision about a character that you don't like, that's still the character.
And I'll be the...
Go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
So be it. We had that before. Now, Bartor, he does play a role when we get to Invasion, so he is going to play a role in the New Direction verse. But Bartor is basically the speedster equivalent of Booster Gold. That's really all he was. So that's a less heinous example.
Mm-hmm.
But New 52 Superboy, he peaked after the culling. Like, let's be honest. And I think he was like killed off like shortly after too.
Yeah, he was. Wait a second.
Yes, and he was quickly killed off. And I think Bart was shelved for like 3 years after that.
Yeah, he was, because people didn't like him as the Flash, and then it decided, let's just shelve him. They didn't try and fix him. They just shelved him.
Yes. But I just think the difference between, like, in my opinion, I just think Jon Kent, there's nothing that can really, work with at all. Like, in my opinion, like if you think about it, what has Jon Kent done that is really got crowd interested, right?
He does have his supernova feat from Super Sons of Tomorrow, but other than that,
recently though,
I'm talking about recently though. Has Jon Kent got anything to really kind of get everyone excited? I don't think so. And here's another thing too, Jimmy. I'm going to say this right now. Jon Kent would not work even in a video game terms. That's because the character.
I know. I don't think James is going to do anything with Jon Kent as a movie.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. They tried that with the animated movie, and the animated movie didn't perform well. Mm-hmm. To be clear, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it didn't perform well. Wait, I'm not going to disturb you. Ruth, you never disturb our streams, by the way. Just wanted to let you know that.
No, you're welcome.
No.
Anytime.
You never do.
Anytime.
And don't worry, Ruth. In 2 weeks, 16th of January, members panel.
Let's go.
Hold on, let me look up the Rotten Tomatoes on Batman Superman Battle for the Super Sons, because I think it did decent for what it was.
Well, I'm talking about sales wise, but yes, that. But then again, is Rotten Tomatoes really that reliable too?
No. No.
We
That
saw
is
with the
true.
whole Rebel Moon situation.
That is true.
Batman, Superman.
Public Enemy.
Yeah, here we go. Battle of the Super Sons. 100% tomato meter with 9 reviews and 87% on audience score.
Audience.
That's decent, but again, DC doesn't really care about the people like to say that it doesn't have to be that successful. It just has to do well critically, not necessarily, and particularly not with this regime.
No.
Zaslav crashes movies and universes that don't look like they're going to work well. And yeah, you could say they did the same thing. They're not going to make the same decision with the Snyderverse. Well, guess what? They did with Batgirl.
That's a complete tax write-off right there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a separate conversation for a different
Mhm.
stream. But needless to say, and I even done a video on this in the past. It's actually a dead IP. It's just Super Sons. They had potential with it. They didn't utilize it, and they've damaged it beyond repair.
It's not behind. I don't think it's behind repair. I think what it is.
Wait, Jeremy Adams on Fly. That was actually a pretty solid one, Tevia. What are you talking about?
I think he means the Flash movie.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
let me put it this way. I don't think it sounds beyond repair. It just takes a creative to come in, and the stack of creatives aren't up to the task. They should have kept going for 50 issues. But Tevia, what would be the guarantee that the sales would improve, if anything? Because I showed the sales for Super Sons on Super Wonder Legacy. And actually, Jheat, if you want, I could pull that up.
Please do. Please. I encourage you.
Because I save all the PowerPoints about it. I thank Britt for this, because she is my research. She is my secret weapon whenever I'm debating people. She is my secret weapon, and I'm very glad to be co-hosting shows with her. So I'm pulling it up. Okay, here we go. So it was an episode 18 of Super Wonder Legacy. So, all right. I'm going to the actual sales of Super Sons. All right, so let me go full screen on this, and then we can share it. Okay, hang on. I gotta find that. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. So I will share. These are the sales for Super Sons and Adventures of Super Sons.
Okay.
Let's see.
So go ahead. So what it has here, number 1 was 99,000. That's pretty good. Second issue was 51. And again, I say, if it had stayed at that and then like maybe risen up a little bit, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But look at the decline, even going through Adventures of Super Sons. Oh, sorry. Wait. Okay, I clicked. Hang on. So look at the decline of sales right here.
You did get a bit of a boost around issue 11, and then it flopped again.
And then it went right back down. And then Adventures got 36,000, which again, if it had gone up, that would have been something.
It went downhill.
Adventures was just a flop, but I'll admit it's a decent comic for $3.99. Adventures was definitely the flop of the two.
So Tevia, based on this, if you were DC, what was the guarantee that the sales are going to improve at all if you gave it 16 issues and they didn't improve, if anything, that got worse?
Now, Challenge of the Super Sons, I noticed that's not included here, but yeah. Challenge of the Super Sons, I would argue it did decently well, but you weren't going to beat that 45,000 benchmark given the momentum of the previous 2 volumes. You'd be lucky to hit 45,000 if I'm being
completely honest. And to be clear, this is before He Who Must Not Be Named came on the book, or like had any influence over Jon Kent. This is before that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a big yikes, Tevia. I'm sorry to say, but that's a big yikes.
That's why DC hasn't done anything with him in a while, because of that. Was running alongside. No, okay.
No,
you could say that. No.
Okay.
Wait.
Towards the end.
Wait. You could say that. How do you explain this drop before that happened? That's what I'm going to say. DC looked at this IP and saw that we're not getting that many returns. If anything, it keeps consistently going down. And DC's a business. It doesn't operate entirely on critical success of books. Same thing with Tomasi Superman. It was critically acclaimed, but it wasn't sales-wise acclaimed. That's the thing. Because the way DC operates is if it has the sales and the critical success, great, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, if it has only one of them, like if it has a critical success but not a good sales success, they're not going to continue it, particularly when DC sales are struggling. Now, you may be wondering, Jared, why did they cancel Superman and Wonder Woman if it's like popular? That's just because of ego. This is not because of ego.
This is because there was poor business management.
And again, Tevia, that's not to say you can't like this. And this takes nothing away from the omnibuy that you have for that. All it says is that this is why DC did what they did with Super Sons.
Again, it wasn't going anywhere.
And Tevia, Tevia, again, even if they didn't hire Batman's a terrible Superman and destroy anything, Ebert didn't do it. But Tevia, the first Super Son series was before Brian came
Bendis.
On. Before he had the influence, let me put it that way. Even before he had the influence, that's it. That's Tomasi right there.
Yep.
Ironically, Tomasi's sales on Superman and Wonder Woman would mirror that.
But even if you factor, okay, by the time Adventure rolled around, you do have Bendis coming over. So you have a little bit of a point there, but it wouldn't have benefited the book in any way.
No. This is why we're saying that, in our new direction verse, Hippolyta Kent would sell double the amount of Jon Kent.
Because can you imagine if her subtitle is Hippolyta Kent, daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman? Hey, Najee, what's up, dude?
Hey, Najee.
So that's what we did. And to be clear, Jon Kent is respected in the new direction verse because what Jheat and I, because an effort that at least I did and Jheat did was the problem with Rebirth is that it didn't respect new 52 characters. It treated them like they were pariahs. What we did, even if I don't like Jon Kent, even if I don't, Lord knows I don't like Lois Lane, they're treated with respect because you know what? The fans like it. That's what I'm deciding. Even if I personally don't like it, this is what Tomasi and Jurgens and all of these DC writers don't get. If I don't like it, but the fans like it, the fans are the ones that pay that in the scenario if we ran DC would pay my paycheck. And that's the thing. And that's why I really hope I can ask Charles Sewell one day, because he said Superman and Wonder Woman was canceled, not because of sales, but because of the direction they wanted to go in. So they wanted something different than what the fans wanted. Taladia, let me ask you this. All right. Which we put respect New 52 Wild West, shocking enough. They didn't respect that. That was the one thing they respected. And that was because they can't get rid of Black Wally West, because then they'll be accused of being racist. Now, Taladia, if you're running a business, actually, great example. You run a monetized YouTube channel, correct?
Yes.
Do you prioritize what you want to make content about or what your audience wants you to make content about?
I prioritize about what I want to talk about.
As opposed to what the audience wants?
Oh, sorry. No, what the audience want to hear, but I make my opinions on it.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the content you choose to make is based on what your audience wants, right?
Yeah.
Because all three of us run YouTube channels. I can guarantee you, if I ran my channel like the Rebirth staff did, guess what? I wouldn't be at 851 subs, because and this is what I tend to tell people, you can't, in terms of that, like, and let me clarify why I use the YouTube example, because it's a similar scenario in that you are doing a service that is determined by what your customers want. And if the customers aren't interested in what you're putting out, or if you do something that the customers demonstrably don't want, guess what? You're not going to grow. Yeah, and this is why DC is in the position it is in today. Anyway, rant over.
Glad you got all that out of your system, buddy.
Thank you. It's been bottled up.
Now, my response to that, if I'm being completely honest, is that not only did we try to respect these characters the best way possible, but also it's just trying to keep things consistent. We didn't panic, we didn't jump the gun, we didn't. Right, I mean now. But say what you will about New 52 Wild West, but I would argue that's more akin to synergy with the Flash TV show with CW than anything.
Yeah.
Much like how the Green Arrow was kind of shifted around. But even if you did factor that, at the end of the day, they can't carry a book. And Speed Force and what they're doing with Wally and Avery with Speed Force is a perfect example. That book is atrocious. Granted, I've read worse, but that is a pretty bland book, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But I'm sorry, everyone. I'm starting to lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
But
Go ahead, Jared.
But all in all,
yeah, all in all, ultimately the story of Jon Kent and the new and Rebirth is that this is what happens when you don't respect the fans. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree.
I agree too.
I agree.
So what do you guys think? I agree Speed Force is bad. Yeah, exactly.
But as for me, it's just that I kind of don't know where to take this. We've covered all the main talking points we wanted to talk about. But Jared, you wanted to make an announcement, so I'll give you the floor. Let me just screen share this right quick. Yeah, remember there was a tease you wanted to make.
Oh yeah, you mean about a New Direction episode?
Dark Side War.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do with Dark Side War, I'm gonna give you a little tease of a plot point. Remember when the Justice League get God powers? And by the way, Taladia, we are going to reach that storyline in the new 52 Justice League run. Just want to tell you that.
Okay.
So the Justice League get the power of gods. Now, my question. Now, when I approach a New Direction verse, how do I approach a story from my own ideas? How about the Justice League are under the control of Darkseid?
Interesting.
And the only characters that aren't are Wonder Woman. In other words, everyone that got powers in Darkseid War is under the control of Darkseid. No, it's not DCU. That was when they abandoned it. DCU was not attached to this.
Please continue, Jared.
But anyway, it's so Wonder Woman and Jessica Cruz and Cyborg and Mr. Miracle, all those characters are not under the control of Darkseid. Only the people that get God powers. So I'm basically we're basically merging Darkseid War in a way with Final Crisis. Only we're making it easy to understand.
Yeah, because that storyline is very convoluted. And while that's going on, you basically have Justice League United, Justice League Canada, I believe the title was called in the New 52, and Justice League of America. And they pretty much take the main Earth Vanguard while the main Justice League is off-world. You pretty much have Green Arrow coming to terms with, hey, I try to be the next Batman. I try to do my own thing. Sometimes it is good to be part of a team. Stargirl gets over. Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can. I can. I got
okay, you. I thought I was lagging for a second. Stargirl gets over her social media craze. Vibes becomes more of a character, becomes more of a hero. Selena, I would say Catwoman, if she had an arc, coming to terms with the hero lifestyle after marrying Bruce. Yes, she does officially marry Bruce within Volume 1, not Volume 2, because someone did fan request and ask me. Batman and Catwoman do get married at the end of Volume 1. So I wanted to go ahead and
we're completing Tom King's story.
Yes.
No, that was Justice League Odyssey. That was branched off from Justice League No Justice. That's a separate storyline.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this would be basically a merging of books per se. And as for God Killer, this is kind of like while he's traversing in between, like, say, God of War 3 and God of War 2018 or God of War 4. But God Killer's just chilling. Like he'll step in like once Grail like starts killing the other gods to revive Darkseid, and we get the Darkseid versus Zeus fight. He'll step in around there, and then I guess from there that's how he'll create. God, I almost said it. God Killer takes out Zeus because he kind of intervenes in that battle. But if you remember, Zeus got his Zeus was essentially revived in a controversial way. So I kind of want to think about this a bit more before I make an official episode about it. You remember what I'm talking about, Jared?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say it out loud, but
yeah, you don't. Mm-hmm.
But
Claudia, anything you want to add?
no, just I really just think that what I think about the stream has just been so interesting, just to talk about why Jon Kent sucks. That's the best way to put it, and why Hippolyta Kent makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And I'm going to defend New 52 to the end of the earth.
There you go. That my man. There you go.
And just for a fact, Tevia, New 52 was trending today.
It trends every day practically. That's the thing. You notice how like it was that, or like the DC documentary conveniently ignores all of Rebirth. And actually, some people, I forgot to tell you guys this. So Brits occasionally sends me like Twitter conversations of people that are upset at the New 52. So no, we're not defending New 52 Teen Titans. We're defending most of it. So anyway, so Brit sends me this thing, and they were upset that the documentary it didn't talk about Rebirth and like how it fix the new the New 52's problems. And I go, right, because DC has been going swimmingly since the New 52 ended.
And another thing too,
yeah, go ahead.
Shazam, the first Shazam film, was directly from the New 52.
Yeah, it's pretty much that volume of that book. It's the first New 52, which, by the way, was a backup story.
One at a time, gentlemen.
I'm sorry, but fun fact, that book, that Shazam book, was the backup stories to the New 52 Justice League book.
And you can't tell me, Tevia, DC were looking at the book. They were looking at the comics, and they could tell the New 52 was selling. So that's why they went based off that.
That's what the Snyderverse is. DC Rebirth was not amazing, Tevia. It wasn't. According to sales and an overall critical success, it wasn't that good.
The only thing I can say for the costume was the Superman Rebirth, because it had no trunks and a yellow S.
And the Green Lantern book was great.
Yeah,
so, honestly, I don't like the New 52 Origins Shazam. Why did it drive you insane?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, why?
Please elaborate.
I'd like to know. I'd like to know.
Why does it drive you insane? Like the Joker.
Because that was pretty much the thing. That was pretty much the origin of Shazam.
Now, I mean, Dr. Savannah's origin is really badass, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
In New 52 compared to the 1939. That's what I saw an interview with Mark Strong for the first Shazam film, and he said that he read the New 52 comics. That's what he's based his character based off on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like
mostly because the New 52 origin is Shazam. Okay, Captain Marvel makes him a complete and utter jerk, and plus not making Mary Morrow biological. How does that make no sense? How does? Okay, whatever. But I think that's a topic for another stream.
Yeah,
I agree.
But is there anything else we want to add, Jheat? Or
before we wrap up, now this will probably be about another month or so before we get to it, but I might as well go ahead and share it now. Let me just pull this up right quick. Seriously, I got so many thumbnails. I might as well be seeing.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. You have plans for months, dude. Oh yeah.
Because technically, post-crisis Superman is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually led to me Like, how would we tackle a Reign of the Superman scenario? Basically, our version of Reign of the Superman.
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. I'm down for that.
Like, would we just be retreading? And what about Luthor's supposed hero persona? Like, do we keep him as Steel? Do we seriously? Delati, I kind of want your opinion on this because I have so many ideas.
I wouldn't be able to fathom what to say on this.
I mean, you got Luthor as Steel. You have Scion, whether or not he's going to take the Superman mantle officially.
So
Connor is trying.
who's the guy on the left next to Lex Luthor?
That is that's new 52 Clark.
Oh, okay.
It's just he was wearing the black suit at the time to not confuse with Post Crisis.
Oh, okay. That's why I was like, wait a minute.
And if you're confused on why he's wearing the black suit, check out our New Direction Verse timeline video. But basically, the long story short, he rebrands for a bit, and he's wearing the black Superman suit. So that's why. But I feel like
Snyder Cut.
yeah. I won't lie. That's part of the reason why I put him in the black suit.
Admittedly, but Lois Lane in the Eradicator armor, how would she feel about? Well, she'll be shady towards Lex Luthor from day one. Scion is a bit annoyed that Lex Luthor is trying to make a publicity out of his doppelganger's name, and Connor, I say Connor's the more emotionally balanced out of the four, to where he could ultimately see where they're coming from. Now he doesn't. Now Luthor is basically the man who helped create and program Connor, so he's not going to trust Luthor as far as he can throw him. But at least he can tell that there's some genuine intention here, whether it be from a business standpoint or out of compassion. Luthor is not a good guy by any means. But I just feel like Eradicator to Lois would just go ballistic. Like, seriously, I have so many ideas. It's scary, if I'm being honest, just thinking about it. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, so
he would. Oh, Chevy, you probably don't remember, but in New Direction Young Justice, Connor would have gotten back from Gem World. We've already established that.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you guys think?
It's going to be an interesting time.
Yeah, it is. You have some fantastic ideas. I would. That's actually a great idea to do Reign of the Superman, but in the New Direction verse.
Yeah, I agree.
But Jared, anything else you would like to add?
Just that I'm excited to see what 2024 has in store for the New Direction verse.
All right.
Go on.
So I got so many thumbnails. Seriously. Okay. All right. What to celebrate my 190th subscriber on the channel, because we're at 188 currently. But to celebrate 190 when we officially get there, this will be our discussion. Regardless of where we are in the New Direction verse, you're getting this episode.
Oh, yes. Hell yes. I am so down for that. Oh, man.
This was not an easy piece to make. Let that be known. This was not an easy piece to make.
Mm-hmm.
And Tevye, Gotham Knights.
That's actually scheduled for later this month.
That's scheduled for later this month. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not the video game, but the TV show. To be perfectly clear, the TV show. We're not going to watch it.
No, we don't have to watch it. We just have to watch him watch it.
Yeah.
You guys aren't going to break me. Oh, by the way, Thor gets reincarnated at some point. But topic for a different stream. But oh, that's gonna be fun. But if you guys want to see that sooner rather than later, please like, comment, subscribe, get us to 190. But any final thoughts? Anything you guys want to promote or say about Jon Kent or Hippolyta before we wrap up?
Just that this week on Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I are talking about Superman and Wonder Woman in animation.
And as for me, myself and Jared and Jheat, we'll be talking about New 52 Justice League issue number 5, just Darkseid versus Green Lantern. So we'll be talking about that, and furthermore, Suicide Squad Killer Justice League content will be coming. We'll be doing well, like when the new in Suicide Squad info, what's it called? Insider info drops. I'll be doing a reaction video for that, and live stream for that game launch night will be happening January 30th. I'm going to announce that now. And also, January 16th is the members only panel live stream where the members are on the panel with me as we talk about anything and everything.
Sounds like a good time, Jaladia. As for me, coming up is my review of Gotham Knights, the TV show, next Monday, January 15th, 6 p.m. EST. No, 7 p.m. EST. Excuse me, 7 p.m. So this is the ultimate test to see whether that'll break or not. So if you got it'll be a chill stream. We watch a relatively crappy show. Sounds like a good. It'll be fun at the very least. You guys couldn't break me with Marvel, and you're certainly not.
Oh, we'll see. And you didn't even read Marvel.
I did.
We'll break
years ago. You didn't do it for the assignment, dude. You're not escaping from that.
Wait. We broke him.
And Nick and I found another thing that you got to watch and positively review.
Go ahead. I mean, April Fool's is coming up. I mean, seriously.
The Justice League of America TV movie.
Justice League of America TV movie.
The one that looked so horrible. Oh, this is going to be fun.
The one that looked like Power Rangers.
The one where Jon Jones actually looked like a character from Power Rangers.
Oh, I could probably find that on YouTube. Like, seriously.
I found it.
Hey,
this is going to be so good. And by the way, if you guys in the comments have any ideas for stuff that we can send Jheat to break him, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
What
to break him. I mean,
are you not entertained?
I mean, we can break him with making him search for granny pants, which I actually made him do.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
Future's End.
Wait. Tell me also, what about Christ on Infinite Earths discussion? Because I would love to do a cover of that movie with you guys. Covering the movie.
We're saving that.
Yeah, we're
saving that.
We're saving that for.
You can talk about that.
A future episode.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, thank you for everyone joining the show. Like, comment, subscribe, and. Any final thoughts? Any last minute digs on Jon Kent, Hippolyta? Anything you guys want to say before we wrap up?
He sucks.
Lois Lane is Lois Lame.
He sucks.
And stay tuned next time for New Direction Verse, Barry Allen Flash. Good night, everybody.